Descent into Darkness, a Call of Cthulhu campaign. Hello and welcome back to Descent into Darkness, Season 3, a Call of Cthulhu campaign. My name is Travis and I'll be your keeper tonight. We return to libraries, the front lines of the battle against the mythos. But before that, let's get an introduction from our investigators.
Hi, I'm Chris. I'm playing Jack Glover, detective on suspension from the police department, who has joined up with these guys. And
I'm Brandon, playing Dr. Wallace Andrews.
I'm Justin, playing Lance Monroe, an occult museum curator.
You can't do what Brandon did. All right. Okay, so we'll begin today's story back at the Widner Library, where Mr. Monroe is currently at work translating the hieroglyphics on the outside of the sarcophagus-shaped box willed to them by Mr. Merriweather. And the good Dr. Andrews has just left the Merweather Chronic with an old professor of his to translate it. So we'll pick up with Dr. Andrews. So you've left that office, and what's your next move going to be?
Well, and then I'll go find Lance and see what luck he's having.
Yeah. So you find him in that room in the Widner Library where all the regular folks come to do their studying, or the students, which is this room with these big tables. It kind of looks like a cafeteria in a way, at least in how it's laid out. And there are these huge, long, narrow windows that run maybe 3 stories high. And there's a skylight, like a big round skylight. So no matter what time of the day, good daylight flows into the room. And it's easy to pick out Monroe amongst all the people, because most people dress in, drab colors, and they're very uniform. But there you have this fellow in a red, I think you described as like the inside of a circus, like a ringleader's coat, right?
Yeah.
So it's very bright.
does
he's
it
like
have tails?
Yeah, like the
Top
actually
hat,
the
gloves.
the picture that I have on there now is actually pretty representative, other than like the skeleton costume underneath it. But yeah, the red coat, the top hat, the golden cummerbund.
So you're like the lone
or vest
wildflower that survived a wildfire, basically, just there.
But yeah, it probably looks a little bit weird with like my top hat on the desk and me actually concentrating on something.
Yeah, and as you approach, he's got a book there, plus the ones he bought from Orion's open, and he's looking at the books, moving the sarcophagus in his hand. Or would you rather carry like a rubbing of the symbols?
Yeah, I kept rubbing and kind of like my notes and journal.
Okay. So yeah, and he's working diligently at that.
Okay.
But you feel his presence at your shoulder, I suppose.
Yeah.
I feel the presence of a tiny arm that's about to shift my perception.
A gloved hand falls on your shoulder. Sanity roll.
Well, I found an old professor of mine who should be able to translate the Merweather Chronic, and I left it with him.
Well, wonderful.
What luck are you having?
Well, I seem to have made a little bit of progress. It is a more ancient dialect than what most easily translatable tomes will provide, so I'm still slogging through it, but I've managed to translate a couple of things. Seeker of Wisdom, Servant, Sun Seth, and Yog Sothua. So yeah, there are a couple of things in there that I have managed to find, but getting the full picture is still eluding me. I estimate that it will take 3 or so days for
At
me
your
to,
current pace?
at my current pace, to fully translate it. And around that same time, I do have an appointment set up to meet with who was it? The
Courtney Vaughn, a student.
Yeah, a student in the Egyptology department to help make sure that my translations are correct.
Okay. So I think we've done or are doing what can be done here. I'm not sure what else I can do in this particular place besides get lost in this books and not find things that I want to find.
Well, this will take me a little while, so if you have other errands or other leads you want to chase down, then you're more than welcome to it. If we do need to shift place, where was the other library that had the De Vermis Mysterious is missing from this library, right?
This one, the librarian woman you talked to, Caitlin Fisher, said that they don't seem to have that in their collection.
Okay. Yeah.
So if it's here, it's hidden.
Okay.
At least officially, they don't have it. The Miskatonic Orne Library, their copy was stolen by Johann Mueller, which Monroe doesn't know, but nevertheless, Dr. Armitage says it was stolen.
Yeah. And Whitmire and Glover are going to New York
to speak with Tobias Heckley.
Yeah.
Looking for another rumored copy.
But you're a student here, correct?
Yes.
Perhaps you'll have a little bit more luck getting into the restricted section to see if they are perhaps lying to me about not having a copy.
Oh. Well, I don't think they would lie, but I can try.
Okay. If you can get access to the restricted section at all, that would probably be very helpful.
Yeah. Okay. So that'll be my next step then, Keeper. I'll try to get access to the restricted section.
I can't imagine why they would, deny me in all my glory and obvious passion for this material.
Mastery of the occult.
Right.
Yes, you'd think they would want me to write a book for them rather than deny me access to the tomes they have.
This is true, young Monroe.
So, Dr. Andrews, you cast about the reading room here and you see a woman you think to be the librarian, and Monroe can confirm that for you. Miss Fisher is running the library at this moment, and you can go up to her, but let me do concealed roll here real quick.
Really like to think that Johann's face pops into your guys' vision anytime you encounter a librarian and it just starts yelling at you to kill them. They're keeping the secrets from you.
Yeah.
All right, so anyhow, you walk up to her. What's your pickup line, opening line?
Oh, yeah, I just introduced myself as Dr. Andrews, a student here.
Yeah.
Emphasis on the doctor. Slap her with a bunch of money.
Well,
yeah, basically. Like I'm older. I'm not the age of a student, so I'll, have the bearing of a serious person.
I mean, look at that mustache. How could you not?
I need, for my research, I need access to the restricted section.
Okay. So, unbeknownst to you, she has been put into a slightly irritated state by her dealings with Monroe.
Is that really unknown to him?
I'll diagnose her with, what did they have?
Hysteria. Have her committed.
Yeah.
So the words she says are polite, but you can tell you think underneath that there's this irritation, right?
Right.
So she says, "Oh, okay. What did you need me to go fetch something from the stacks for you, or?"
No, I'm not exactly sure what I'm looking for. It's one of those things, where I'll know it when I see it. I'll try to persuade.
Okay.
I'll be charming,
Right. All right. So I'll say, you can do it with persuade, but there's a couple of things. There's a particular problem with persuade, and then it takes time, something she feels short on. So if you want to hit the persuade tactic, you'll need a hard persuade to open her up about that.
Or
concept.
3 shots and an arm hook.
What if I just give her $20 or something?
Okay, we can
Well,
bring it back down to normal if you want to put a bribe on it.
Yeah. Yeah, I got plenty of cash.
Go buy yourself something good, Toots.
Yeah, go buy yourself
Just look the other way, make sure the door's unlocked.
yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, and then I'll do persuade.
Except it's because he's a doctor and a detective. It's kind of got to be stuffy, though. Can't be all suave. Oh, dang. That bedside manner.
Okay.
It was that $20
Yeah, you,
that did it.
He was
Yeah.
one away from a hard success anyway.
Well, a $20 bribe is a significant amount of money.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's quite a bit back then.
Yeah, that's like when we were playing the other game and we were giving gold pieces to stable boys.
You're upsetting local economies.
Yeah.
I like to think that it's like when Dr. Evil's asking for various ransom monies, and we're just, because we're so, like, especially like in this, where it's like 1930s money or 20s money, like we're just so removed from how cheap everything was.
Yeah.
Or I guess what the value, the actual, like, buying value was.
Yeah, $20, that's twice my daily spending level.
Yeah. What is it? That's like, that's a lot of bottles of Coca-Cola.
Yeah, so how do you offer up your bribes? What's the Andrews technique?
Right. So,
You just tapping it on her little book cart
yeah.
while you're asking her.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'll just, hand it to her and say, it's got to be frustrating dealing with the students in this place day in and day out. So, you deserve to relax somewhere, get a nice meal,
Yeah, so she takes it.
Take a good lunch break.
get a nice pair of shoes.
And she says, yeah, I don't see that will be a problem. Let me
Okay.
just show you the door. And you said are you a student here or a different college?
I'm a student here. I'm taking some psychology courses.
I see.
Never stop learning.
Mm-hmm.
And so she makes some small talk as she leads you over to the door that leads to where you can go to the different parts of the stack. As I had said in the last season, most of these bookshelves are stored in an underground level below Widner Library that runs, some distance beyond the surface building. So it's sort of like a dungeon of libraries down there. But so you get there, she just leads you as far as like the stairwell, and she says she assumes that you know your way around down there, or did you need any further help?
I should be able to find my way. Thank you, ma'am.
He was never seen again.
Yeah, so you get, as you descend these steps, you get that not altogether pleasant smell of mildew and books that are getting close to rotting. It's a big task for them to go through and take out books that begin to rot and to keep them from rotting in the first place. So that smell permeates everywhere.
Mm.
And it, smell is associated with memory, so it brings you back to a couple of months ago, which kind of gets the hairs on the back of your neck raised because you're thinking about serpent men.
Yeah.
After all, it was thought that Monroe had an encounter with one down here. You missed it, unfortunately, I believe. But in any case, you are down amongst the stacks, which means if you want to find something, what specifically are you trying to find? The De Vermis Mysterious?
Yeah, that'd be a start. So yeah, that's what I'd look for. See if they have a copy here that they're not being honest about.
Okay.
And, another thing I'd like to keep an eye out for is any book as I'm walking through that looks like it's not in the right place, right? Like however they catalog these on the book itself, whatever, if they're
Yeah.
alphabetical and I see one with a title that starts with a Q and it's supposed to be A or what, I don't know, however they would catalog these, I would just, keep my eye out for something that looks like it's out of place, something that maybe is like
Not dusty.
up on top of some of the books sideways or pushed further back than it ought to be,
Right.
or a space showing that a book was there but isn't now. But yeah, like that, I'll just keep my eye out for. But as far as specifically, look for that De Vermis Mysterious. So I would try, I don't know. However, I know that books are stored and cataloged in these days. I'll look through those methods. Like, I don't know, who wrote the De Vermis Mysterious?
I think it's Ludwig Prynne.
Yeah, so I'd look for the book title, then I'd look for the author,
Yeah.
or whatever.
Yeah, so you have two tactics you could take here based off of your description. You could look for things out of place, which we could rely on a spot hidden, or you can use library, which you haven't had a ton of success of in the past, but it will be an extreme spot hidden, and actually the same with use library.
Okay. So then I'll try it with the spot hidden.
Okay.
We're going to be extreme about it.
Bust out that snowboard.
No.
Mm.
Not as extreme
24.
as we were all hoping for.
Don't have the luck.
Yeah.
Always push. I don't know if I'd push a 17, though.
No, I'm not. That'll be just like, I did my best. I couldn't find anything.
Dude, this is the prime time. You push that, and when she comes back, you do the standard 1920s shake.
Yeah, shake and slap. Yeah.
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 Where is it?
She's like, why didn't you just ask?
I offered to help.
Is there anybody else down here?
You occasionally see some other student working. If you remember from last season, they had little nooks here and there where you could sit in a chair and or they would have a desk, something like that. So yeah, you do occasionally see that. But your spot hidden, the way that kind of works is because there's so many books, it's like the primary feature. It takes quite a bit of focus to do what you're doing, trying to look for things that are out of place, because a lot of it looks sort of odd, or not odd, but it's just so uniform that it's hard for you to really concentrate on it as you go to that degree. But it is kind of when you're getting around to the occult section that you had been to before with Monroe that you really sort of apply that level of focus, and you just don't come across anything,
Yeah.
I mean, you see all kinds of interesting titles that might have some knowledge in them, but you're not certain.
Right.
Nothing of immediate value pops up, and you're basically at a dead end there.
Okay. All right. So then at that point, I guess I would go back upstairs,
Okay,
and I want to see if I can spot Monroe.
you can.
I want to see if I can spot the librarian.
Yeah,
So I want to try to get Monroe down here without her knowing.
it would be a lot easier if you didn't look so brightly colored, but
And how he turns the page on the book, too.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that and, everywhere I walk, my flyers are constantly,
Falling out.
yeah, fluttering behind me in a cloud.
But honestly, there's not the restriction is more of a control thing to keep their catalog intact as far as going in, going out, so it doesn't get mixed up. It's less about keeping people from stealing the books.
Okay.
So all you need is to make a regular stealth roll on Monroe's part, or alternatively, if you have some idea of a distraction to serve in place of his stealth, you could go with something like that.
Yeah. So
Just shoot a gun into the air.
This is not a robbery. I just need to find a book.
I am merely testing the workings of my gun.
yeah. So I'll get Monroe's attention and tell him,
Okay. Yeah, so Monroe, for your part, while he's been down there for maybe about an hour now, you've just taken a pause from the actual translation part to sort of reset your mind, and you're looking at your book on Genie, and the gist you're getting from reading is that Jinn are generally thought to be invisible, but they can appear as something. They usually prefer a snake form or some other sort of lizard or insect, although they may appear as humans as well. And that kind of becomes the frustrating thing of trying to narrow down what you might be dealing with, because the categories are not well defined and they're they're permeable. So you'll have different ones. You'll have the Ifrit, the Shaitan, the Marid, and Jinn, but they have a lot of overlap in power and disposition. And also, I'd say the only gist you could get out of it is that most of them have strict rules by which they must adhere, but there is no congruency between those rules. So it seems like if you are dealing with a Jinn, at least according to this book, you would have to figure out
What type it is. And
what its specific thing is, right? So
okay.
if you're to take it at face value. But anyhow, you kind of there's sort of a, maybe he gets to the end of the row and hisses at you or something, but you hear Andrew's trying to get your attention from near the edge of the room.
I'll look up at him and not understanding what he's doing. I'll just like wave him over. Yeah, I'll just look at him and be like, "What are you doing? Come over here."
Yeah. So I'll just
he's never been sneaky before.
yeah.
Hard to be sneaky with
I'll
that
make-
mustache.
Come here.
So-
You here.
Yeah, I'll just kind of confused get up and come over to him like, what's going on?
I got access to the restricted section, but if you don't we got to make sure she doesn't see you go down there because she doesn't like you very much.
I don't know why.
I don't either. Let's go.
You'll never get better if you don't tell him.
But yeah, I'll follow him.
Okay. So yeah, it's just a regular stealth to pass unnoticed,
This is
unless you have some other idea. Like, I mean, you could conceivably make a big enough distraction to where you getting into that door would be easy, that it doesn't require a stealth roll. But
Is there any studying kids nearby?
oh yeah, there's lots of them in here.
So can we wait until she's actually distracted with someone else?
Yeah. The other problem is there's also some like minders around too that work with her. She's just the head of the show right now, you know.
Okay.
So there's a few different sets of eyes you have to tie up or pass by unnoticed.
Yeah. So like I'll like go to a kid who looks like he's poorer than most Harvard kids, and I'll offer him $10 if he gets up and screams at the top of his lungs and goes running along the wall or something.
Okay. All right.
So you just got to make sure people are paying attention to you. And
Let's take a look here.
if they get mad at you, just say that, yeah, you were excited because you finally learned something you were studying. I don't know.
I'll just say that I assumed that your permission was my permission as well. That when you got permission to come down here, since we're companions and working together on research, that it applied to me as well.
Let's just try my idea.
Okay. Yeah.
So that'll be a distraction if I get that kid to do that.
All right, so he takes your money. He's like, "You want me to stand up on this table and start screaming?"
Well, you got to get the eyes over there.
Oh.
It's 1920s. Maybe if he starts
Do a
like
swing
ranting
dance.
and raving about like communists or something like that.
Anarchists.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's like, "Okay, yeah, I can do that."
Gotta be careful. You can end up in an insane asylum if you're a guy, too. Pretty easy in this time.
Yeah. So he goes down to the further corner of the room away from where you guys are, and he gets up on the table and sort of stands up straight, and he just starts orating from some play you're not familiar with. He's just reading lines from it, you know, and everybody's like looking. And after a minute, some of the freshmen start, you know, clapping at him and whistling at him and cheering him on. But yeah, that would allow you to get past without needing a stealth roll.
Good. Because I don't know if I'll succeed a stealth roll.
Let's just say that you did have to stealth. What would you have gotten?
Yeah.
What do you know?
Critical success.
Really?
Yeah.
You would have.
Wow.
Yeah, there goes that
Amazing.
critical success. Anyway, yeah, head down.
All right, so you
But yeah, I'll leave my top hat and all my
At the
stuff
desk.
at the
to
desk.
claim your place. Yeah. So you
2 duffel bags of flyers.
No, I have an extra dimensional space in my coat.
they kind of puff up from under his feet every time he takes a step
Yeah.
and go twirling away in the wind. So you and Dr. Andrews head down the stairs to where all the books are, and we'll pause there and jump over to Mr. Whitmire. So Whitmire, you had arranged to meet Detective Glover at Gino's restaurant, and that's where we'll pick up there. So you actually see Glover sitting there at a table. He had stopped to get something that he had been looking for at the post office, I think is what you got from him. But he's sitting there now waiting for you to show up. And last time you had figured out where this Tobias Heckley's address was, which turned out to be above his bookstore. So same address for bookstore and home.
That
and you
will
spot
make it
Glover
easy.
sitting there.
I'm gonna give him a fake address.
Gonna give me a fake address?
No, yeah, I'll go in and sit down and ask him if he's ordered anything yet.
Not yet, other than some more coffee or water. What do they got here? Probably some wine. It's an Italian joint, ain't it? Yeah. Other than some wine, nothing much. Been looking at this rendering of that symbol that was carved into... Oh, dang it. What's his name?
Marion Allen.
Of Marion Allen. And I'll put it on the table. Kind of looks like a flower to me. The taxi driver on the ride over said it looked like a coin. What do you think, Whitmire?
The handout's called Carved Symbol.
Yeah, I see it. What do you
I think it's on the board, too.
The skill-wise?
You don't have to... I mean, you could make a Cthulhu Mythos roll.
I'm really good at that. Nope.
You actually are pretty good at it.
Not good
On
enough.
par with Mr. Monroe.
I mean, it looks like, I don't know, it looks like a flower?
That's what I was thinking, too.
Yeah.
Great minds think alike.
Like a...
Are we going to eat, or are we just going to head over to this antiquities guy?
Well, his house is right above his bookstore, so we got a little bit of time. So I don't think he's really going anywhere, because we might as well get some food while we're here.
All right, let's see. Let's bring up a menu here.
Yeah, I guess this is probably one of those places where a lot of the wines and dishes are, if you're not into that lifestyle, you probably wouldn't even know how to order from the get. But you can get basic stuff. It's no problem. It's just if you're not a well-to-do fellow, you might feel a little out of place.
Yeah.
Which is why it's...
Is it in Italian?
The menu?
Yeah.
Yeah, probably.
So I'm looking at an Italian 1920s menu right now. I can't read any of it.
Take a shot. Let me hear the music of the language. And
well, it's going to be a bit odd because I'm going to be talking like this as well. So let's see. We got a salalato miso. I think I'll just take a cafe. That's a coffee, ain't it? I don't know.
Now Whitmire can correct you with his meathead voice.
Yeah.
But you guys order...
Just get noodles and some sauce. That's all you need.
But you guys order, and it is pretty good. Probably the best Italian you've had ever. But the meal comes to conclusion. Is there anything you wanted to talk about, or should we move on to the next thing?
Well, after we finish eating, you forgot to mention that it was so good we forget what we were even doing here. We say, well, time to go back to Boston. And head
Well,
out.
it's time for dinner.
Yeah.
We just had lunch.
All right. No, I mean, not too much small talk on my part, at least.
I believe that after this meal, it definitely requires the lighting up of his cigar, though.
Right.
You gotta it helps the stomach heal from the food intake.
As I can't
All right.
remember if I was smoking cigarettes or a pipe in this game, but
You bought cigarettes in the last session.
Yeah, and
All
I think
right.
you had rolling
there it is,
material
yeah.
too.
Okay. So yeah, I'll wait till we get outside at least, as kind of post up close to the door and roll a smoke.
Yeah, while he's doing that, I'll kind of try getting a cab.
Yeah, it's no problem. And you guys just gonna have them take you to this address?
Yeah.
Okay.
What
So,
time is it? Is the store?
You guys got there like early afternoon, so we can say 2 hours. So you are pushing to dinner time, so it'd be about 5 o'clock. So yeah, it should still be open for a few more hours.
Okay. No, it's a good time. So
yeah, the cabbie takes you into Harlem, and Dog Ears, the name of his bookstore, ends up being just off of Lenox Avenue. Upon your first glance from the cab there when he drops you off, it's not clear that the establishment is open for business. Like, it doesn't have much in the way of signage from the outside, apart from just a little wooden sign hanging on, like a, what's the term, like a... Anyhow, it's just hanging there, and it says the title of the bookstore, right? But it's not stenciled in the window or anything like that. Hard to pick up from the street. You have to get up real close to the door before you see it. So who's going in first?
Well, I think that since you're an obvious cop, as you might spook him. Although I don't know what he has to be spooked about. We're just here for a book. Why don't you go in first, and I'll hang out here.
All right, Whitmire. Yeah, I'll go on in.
Okay.
As I'm gonna hang out though, is once he actually goes in, I want to see if there's any other entry points to this, like around the back, a side, a window, anything.
Yeah, so from the outside, what you see is several other apartments just like this. You have 4 that are kind of sandwiched in real close together. So to get around to like the back of the building, you have to go around to the other side.
Yeah, no,
If you want to do that, yeah.
that would be fine. Wait till he's in there and engaged, and I'll slip around to the back.
Yeah, so on the front you had the windows on both levels. You could kind of see it might be possible to clamber up from the front, and in the back you have a fire escape system that runs along along the top level and then down to the ground. Like there's a railing that comes along every window at the top level, and then one staircase down to the alley that is behind that set of buildings. And also you have windows on the back that could be accessed on the ground level.
Well, if there's a way, I don't know if the escape is all the way down right now, but if it's not, I'll look for trash bins, anything that I can find to try.
Yeah. No, this one is fixed.
There.
It's all the way down to the ground, and there is a back door at every like apartment as well as the windows. And the one that you marked to be dog ears, the back window is papered over or something's covering it, so you can't see the interior from the outside, at least from the lower level. Now, for Detective Glover's part, as soon as you walk in, that you're aware that, oh yeah, this is a bookstore, because you see just books stuffed everywhere. It's probably a fire hazard, right? Johan probably would have got along with him quite well as far as their organization system goes, Like they're cared for, but there's just more than the space he really has. So, and they're in all sorts of conditions. Like this book collector doesn't seem to be above keeping books that have their cover missing or something like that, And amidst a bunch of books behind a counter, you smell some cigarette smoke coming out, and you see a black gentleman stand up, and he's like, "Welcome, my name is Tobias Heckley. What can I do for you?"
Well, Mr. Heckley, pleasure to meet you. I'm Jack Glover, and I'll offer my hand.
Yeah.
I'm a police detective out of Boston, Massachusetts. I'm here working a case because I heard from a friend of a friend that you might have something that could be vital to cracking this case.
So yeah, he has a like fringe of gray and black hair sort of shooting up. Almost looks like some smokes that had somehow been captured there, because it kind of goes up in different directions. But he does have a relatively warm smile. But he's old, so that doesn't necessarily mean anything. There's a lot of old timers who are pretty good at putting on a face. And he's like, "Oh yeah, we got a lot of stuff in here. What are you looking for, sir?"
Let me think. It's a book. It's supposed to be rather old. And what was it, De Vermis Mysterious? De Vermis, something, can you help? De Vermis, Mysterious?
All right, give me a psychology roll.
I'll kind of be looking at him with one kind of squint eye.
No,
nothing
right.
like bad being directed his way, just kind of how I look.
Well, I don't expect we'd have something like that in here.
You don't expect you'd have something like that in here.
But you saw like the pupil or something dilate for a second when you said the title. Like there's a focusing of his vision, and then it goes kind of back to the shucks type attitude, right? Yeah, I don't know. You probably want to go uptown for something like that.
Such a hard book to find. All my friends, a lot of them that I'm currently working with, they have all sorts of knowledge of the ins and outs of the various Massachusetts library workings. They can't find it either.
Well, what's the subject matter on a book like that?
Which just popped up in a case. We believe that someone is believing that they're gaining some knowledge or connection from it to fuel their crimes. I just want to try to get one step ahead of them.
You don't say. Well,
Do they have fire codes at this point?
they have some stuff, but it's not like very enforced, right?
Mm. But if I had friends in various departments, they could try to put the pressure on this poor store.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I mean, you could, if you want to come up with some sort of pressure that way, you could
Like an intimidation.
intimidate, yeah. Or if your law's higher, you could use the workings of that to pick out something, and point it out to him.
Yeah, so we'll see how it goes with his next little...
Yeah, so he's like, I could maybe, I know a few other collectors. I could get you a few books and maybe send you on their way with a good word. How would that do for you?
Oh, that'd be excellent. Except I've heard from so many people that they were sure that you, a reputable collector such as yourself, definitely would have a copy.
Well, I don't know why they would be saying that. Who are these people you've been hearing from?
Where are these people that I'm hearing it from?
You weren't there in person, but they had.
Oh,
the story was
Miskatonic,
Dr. Henry Armitage had given the name.
But was it a detective or librarian?
A librarian.
He was the
Librarian.
Head librarian.
Head
wasn't he?
librarian, yeah.
Oh, the head librarian at was it Miskatonic Library? At the Miskatonic Library, Mr. Armitage. He said he was sure you had a copy.
Oh, well, why didn't you say so first? I know Armitage. Me and him run in the same circles, but nevertheless, I don't know if we have a book like that. You'll have to give me a minute to look into it. So you just wait right here.
Peruse?
Yeah.
Is it all right if I look around?
Yeah, go ahead. I got some things come in and I hadn't cataloged them yet. It'll take me just a moment.
Excellent. I'll wait right here
Yeah.
with bells on. I'll start snooping through various books and whatever I can get my hands on like a true cop.
Yeah, so as I had described before, the gist you get from this collector is, and also his location, is that he has to kind of get whatever he can get his hands on, right? Because this part of town's a little lower income.
He's the me of New York.
Right. And he's not too picky about the condition or what ends up in his collection. So you see some books that probably wouldn't be on shelves in libraries elsewhere. Either they're too profane or they just didn't have a high enough circulation or enough interest. So there's all kinds of weird stuff to see in there,
I'll pick up one of those Harlequin romance novels
Yeah.
about giant women.
Yeah.
What is this doing here? I've been seeing this all over the place.
Yeah, so it's the second in a series from author who only goes by the moniker The Voice. Not since the Bard has pen been put to paper to such a high level.
My wife has a copy of this one at home. She doesn't want me to look at it.
And you flip to a page at random whose words offend your Presbyterian sensibilities.
On reflex.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
Just the way you were brought up, they're lurid and explicit, and they go on and on and on. But eventually he comes back and he says, Detective, come on over here.
Yeah, I'll follow him on over.
I just got to come clean. Sorry about the ruse earlier. That book is a little odd. I didn't know who you were or why you're looking for it. And I'm not going to give it to you, and I'll tell you why. People hold on to that book. They have bad luck carrying it, right? I bought it at an estate sale a long time ago, but I wrote down a bit of its history. Okay, yeah, I keep this book there in the back, just in a room all by itself. I don't have the space for that, but I bought it at an estate sale from a fellow that died, and I looked into the book and its background. It belonged to a family called the Vanderhills out in upstate New York a long time ago. Some fella came across it in that house after it was destroyed. But basically, each owner that's had this book has died in an extremely unlucky fashion shortly after owning the book. I would be the exception to that because I follow very specific rules. Anyhow, the first was the sheriff who obtained the text from a man named John Eagle. This sheriff died by striking his head on the lintel of his front door. From there, the book went to a young woman, an occultist, died when a lit cigarette fell amidst the folds of her elaborate dress, eventually catching her on fire. Then the lawyer whom she was dating at the time died while demonstrating how the accused had shot his victim when the gun accidentally discharged, when he was showing it in court. Then a doctor friend who found the book among his friend's personal effects and was a pallbearer at his funeral died when the pallbearers stumbled and the casket fell on the poor doctor. From there it went to auction and was sold to a young dilettante and dabbler who, while dancing, severely bit his tongue. It became infected and he died of gangrene. Then the book was shipped to relatives, and the courier went through the wrong door of a building and fell 5 stories down an elevator shaft. Then the bereaved mother suffocated to death when her Murphy bed closed up in the wall with her in it. Now, do you believe any of what I've told you?
Yeah, if I'm being honest, Tobias, not really. Sounds like a nice tale. Tell over a campfire.
Well, I had a few close calls myself until I locked it up in the room there, and I don't mess with it anymore. But the reason I'm not going to give you that book is because you don't believe that any of that happened. I don't know anything about it, but I know that that story is true and all that has been confirmed. I can give you a list of the names of the owners of those books, and you can look in their deaths yourself. But if you want to look at the book, I'm not going to keep you from doing that. You can go into that room, and he points back, and he's even put a sign like above the door that says no knives, no guns, right? And you can look at it in there as long as you like, but it stays here, and it doesn't go in your possession. If you can follow those rules, then I think you could take a look.
All right. Well, the reason I wanted to come into possession of the book is because it's not me who will be doing the looking. I have some experts in their field that I'll pass the book to. They know what information I kind of need to have, and they'll be able to sift through all the information.
Well, you bring them around if you like.
I'm sure that they'll be more than willing to, unless their search is paid off in other parts of Boston. So, I think I'm done here then, if you're going to shut me out. You know, you said you had some, perhaps, notes or anything that I could take with me?
Well, here, take a look at this. This is the diary of the boy that went up into the house that this book allegedly came from, the Vanderhill home. And he hands you a diary.
I'll look through it, but I don't know if this is pertinent to my investigation. So.
Well, it's a story of his experiences in that house.
The house and his experiences aren't part of it. There's information that is in the book that I believe a killer is using to commit his crimes based on whatever.
Well, in the back pages, you'll see some of the notes I put down for my own investigation into the history of the book.
All right. I won't say no to anyone trying to help out, so thank you. Sorry to waste your time.
It's all right. You have a good day.
Yeah, I'll go outside, cross the street, and if I can't find Whitmire immediately...
He's back around to the front by that, smoking a cigarette. But yeah, the book he gave you is about 6 by 3.5 inches. And it's odd in that it has a durable binding of thin sheet metal.
Okay.
Yeah, so...
Well, he's got the book in there, Whitmire. I'll start thumbing through this diary, kind of skimming it. Maybe skip right to the back, see about any of the notes, which are going to be probably pretty foreign to me.
Well, I don't know. We'll have to wait and see what happened around back.
Yeah, this is a very long story. It's called The Diary of Alonzo Typer. It's actually one written by Lovecraft or ghost written for somebody else, but it's long and it may have some relevant information to this case. But what is relevant is Tobias's collection towards the end of the journal, which includes a few clippings here and there. You know, Courier plunges 5 stories to his death, and it'll have like the clipping towards it. Not all of the claims he made has a clipping next to it, but a few of them at least are verified by what he wrote there. So he had a list of names and owners for the book and rough dates as best as he could put together. And that would be what he told you about, was his investigation into the history of the book, but apparently found by Alonzo Typer in the Vanderhill house back in 1908. But that's where you guys are at that point.
Well, I think now it's probably on to Whitmire's POV. See what he got up to.
Yeah, did you do anything else but look?
Well,
what,
yeah,
with the journal or John?
No,
Okay.
Whitmire.
I was obviously going to break in.
Oh, were you?
'Cause that's,
Okay, so where-
it's still open. I got a distraction up front. Of course I'm breaking in.
Travis
Okay.
just didn't want to stereotype your character, man. I mean, come on.
What entry point do you want to use?
Well, let's find out. As we go low, we'll be downstairs, high upstairs. Looks like I'm going downstairs.
Okay, it's difficult for you to tell, but you have the door and one window, but they were both the window pane on the door and the window itself were papered over, so you can't see what's in there. They might go into the same room as far as you know.
Okay.
Door would be easier without making a lot of noise.
Yeah, as I'll try the door handle first, see if it opens.
Okay, it is locked.
All right. So, a locksmith to try and unlock it. I'll spend 2 luck.
Okay. So yeah, you get the lock open. It's pretty easy for you by this point. And when you go to push the door open, it opens about 3 inches, and then it hits something in the way of it.
All right. I'll kind of feel around, right, from up near the top towards the down to the bottom. Just feel what it might be hitting on. If I can identify.
Yeah, you feel like
size.
a bunch of books,
Okay.
like
So-
stacks of books, right?
I'll close the door and we'll take a look at that window. Is it an opening window?
Yeah. You think you could get it open, but it would require a pass stealth check not to do it with, or to do it without making a lot of noise, because you can always break the window, which
I'm gonna
takes no
push
roll.
it.
Okay.
As I guess alert somebody either in the back or alert them
Right.
inside. Oh Jesus!
All right, so you trying to get this open, it was a little wedged into place, and as you're trying to do it, the window cracks, and a big piece of it falls out of place and crashes to the inside. Now, from the inside, this is pretty muffled, although you hear it, and you're pretty sure he does too. But if you have some idea, so we'll say this is like, you're like, well, I don't know if I need this, but thank you, and you're about ready to depart when that happens.
All right, so oh man, yeah, I'll just try to, just kind of keep him distracted for a little bit. Like maybe I'll pick up that Martian book again, or the one with the big women. I'll be like, oh hey, I wouldn't expect this to be here. My wife's been raving about these. She keeps them by her nightstand. What are they all about, Mr. Heckley?
All right, yeah. So he's kind of like,
Maybe a persuasion,
but
or
you do your.
I don't have fast talk. Don't say fast talk.
Yeah, it's just such a quick moment. We'll have to do charm. I think.
Okay.
Ooh, nice.
Nice.
Okay, so yeah, he's like, well, I have not read them myself, but few of my customers come in asking for them. Sorry, what was I thought I heard something. Did you hear?
What? I haven't heard anything.
All right, so back out to Whitmire, you hear, you kind of maybe freeze or something, and you're listening.
Yeah.
You don't hear anything happening though, so maybe it went unnoticed.
Okay. So yeah, I'll
I doubt this is a part of town where anything unwanted could happen.
We're from around here, are you?
go ahead and I guess just finish opening the window at this point. It's like, well,
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
whatever's gonna happen is gonna happen, but I gotta get in there. Because what's in there when I do get it open? What's the room look like?
So it looks like it's mostly, once you punch a hole in that paper, it looks like a mostly empty room, although there is sort of like an old corner table that's been put in the center, and on top of that there is like a chest, but the chest looks like it's raised off the table a little bit. You just can't see what's under it from your angle. But other than that, there's nothing else in the room.
All right, well, in through the window.
Okay. So you land on your feet when you vault through that open window, And as you do so, give me a luck roll.
Uh-oh.
Nice.
For those that are listening, that is the sound of an evil game master laugh because he failed his luck roll.
John, I'm sorry, man. I've already used my just one more thing. I can't do it a second time. It's like saying goodbye and then encountering them again on the way out the door.
It was a very good sinister laugh there, Travis. I'll give you that.
You're not even sure how it happened. In fact, you can't even really piece it back together in your mind, so I'll be a little bit vague about it. But so you land on your feet, you stand up straight, you go brushing the dust off your body, and then all of a sudden you're startled because it just sounded like your gun went off in the room. Like there's a sudden loud discharge from a weapon. And when you look around, you're pretty sure it's yours. Although it didn't hit you or anything, luckily, like that. But you see the smoke twirling up from the barrel. How do you keep it? I suppose I should figure that out first.
I had a shoulder.
Is it underarm?
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, you have a hole in your jacket then when you go and you're like looking at it and you see the...
Which one is it? Is it his revolver?
He was carrying his
my
revolver,
38.
You might be able to get a... Well, if it's a leather holster, it might have survived it, but the cylinder gap...
Yeah.
So...
But, yeah. So, and you there's no getting around that. So you're like, well, thanks for the information on those or
the
whatever.
gunshot goes off?
Yeah.
And I'll be like, I heard that.
Right.
And I'll grab my gun and I'll start heading back there. I was like, you stay back, Mr. Hickley.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, sure. But yeah, he stays behind you as you head back that way. What's your move from that point, Whitmire?
I'm just going to grab the shit or grab it and jump out the window.
All right, so you got a chest, small chest. You could grab it. When you pick it up, you see it was sitting on top of a book. The chest is pretty heavy. It was sitting on top of a book. I'll give you a moment to make a decision there.
Mm-hmm.
So, chest that was sitting on top of a book. Can I do...
it's almost like how you might sit something on like a soft cover book to flatten down the cover again, right? Or if you were going to press something in a book, you'd put something heavy on it.
Would education, a library, or a mythos potentially help them in making a split decision? Or
spot hidden, and you can read the title. We'll say hard, given the time frame you're working on.
Can I grab both?
Yeah,
Just
definitely.
grab both and go.
But it's going to make it hard to get out the window with your hands full. So we'll
I'm
do,
just going to toss them out the window and jump out myself.
Okay, gotcha. All right, yeah, so you...
somewhere Monroe screams.
There's a disturbance in the occult.
So you toss them out the window and then pick them up and start booking it down the alley. And by then, you think the shot came from the room that said no knives, no blades, right? Or no blades, no guns. And yeah, so you're at that door basically.
Yeah, I'll fling open the door, and I don't know how advanced covering or going into a room is in this era. So yeah, I'll just open the door as wide as I can, point my gun in, and start looking around.
Yeah. So you see that window that had been opened, the broken glass on the floor, and you hear footsteps from the retreating Whitmire.
Yeah, I'll rush over to the window, look out.
So you probably spot him just as he's disappearing onto the street, right? Yeah.
So I'll turn around to Heckley, and I'll be like, looks like I'm not the only one after the book, apparently.
All right. I guess you don't have to lie. You guys didn't set it up ahead of time, so.
Well,
but he kind of looking at you a little suspiciously, but then he says nothing. All right, back in the Widner Library in the stacks, Monroe, you have a similar memory of a few months past and all of the weight that goes with that of Serpent People and Zagua, but it's just a memory, or at least that's what you want to tell yourself, perhaps. But yes, the good Dr. Andrew has gotten you down to where you need to be. You have already attempted finding the De Vermis Mysterious via the librarians, which means if you're to attempt it further, it is technically a push. Of course, there are other interesting books here. You could just browse around. And she may very well be telling the truth.
So I've been down here a couple times.
Yeah, you don't remember seeing it when you were down here.
Yeah, but can I lessen the section that I'm searching for by knowing where the other occult materials are. So.
You remember well where you found your copy of the Liber Ivanus,
Okay.
which was in roughly the same section, just if you remember it had been, bindings had been switched, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it is a pretty large, it's almost like a wing, you would think, for occult writings.
Okay. How's your spot?
He is a doctor.
So I'll have him take a look for any books that have had their bindings changed, because I'll tell him that when we were down here last time, one of the rare tomes had actually been switched out, like the binding had been switched out, while I actually look for it in normal library use.
What was it? It was switched out by Merriweather or an associate for Merriweather or something?
Yeah, I think it was Merriweather himself. He changed that for the Grand Grimoire or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what's the goal then? You're both going to take a shot at finding the De Vermis Mysterious if they have it?
Yeah, I'll look for it legitimately using standard catalog and that kind of stuff, library use, and have him try and keep an eye out for any books that look like they've been tampered with or changed in the area of where the other occult books have been.
Okay, so I must reiterate that in our last session, you had a luck roll to see if by chance they had it, which failed.
Yeah.
Which means this would be a pushed attempt. Even though you're using used library, you can push to a different skill if it makes sense. And Brandon with Dr. Andrews was just down here and he failed his spot hidden.
Okay. So the push will be that we're in like a specific section.
Using
areas where we had found, where I had seen things before.
And Johann whispered constantly about them hiding books from him.
And in a meta sense, Johann had found, which he subsequently almost destroyed by spilling his coffee amongst all the index cards, but he had found that they sent him to Miskatonic Library. That's where he ended up stealing the copy, right? Yeah. You're just not, Monroe isn't necessarily aware of all that. But anyhow, okay. So, and also it was a hard check.
So it's a hard push this time.
Yes.
Don't ever push too hard, guys.
Yeah. I think we're already gone too far to turn back.
Yes.
So.
Okay.
Push.
I've never had enough luck to, that'd be 45. Yeah, I completely failed that one. So using standard methods, I have no hope.
I got a hard success.
Congratulations. So, you're looking through, it told you to look for bindings and such, right? And while that trick isn't used again, you do see something that catches your eye. Now they have that decimal system that you'll see down there when you're looking at things. And so you're going through a section, and in conjunction with that decimal system, you could report back to Monroe and you'll be like, well, hey, if what you're telling me is true, then the De Vermis Mysterious, if it's held here, should be in this section. Here's the decimal range for which you could find this book. Why don't you take a crack at it, Monroe? And you do. Now, of course, you failed your push roll, but with his help, you do find it. The title is just a little messed up. It's like somebody didn't scribe it down wrong. So you realize like they just wrote De Vermis, right? And it's with a U instead of how it's appropriately spelled. So you're like, you wonder if that's it. However, it was missing on the, if you go back and check at that point, it is missing on the shelf. It's not where it's supposed to be. And the as far as you get, it's not, they have a computerized system, so you can see what its status is. Yeah. But they have an index card that records it under the title De Vermis, spelled wrong, but it's not on the shelf.
Okay.
So is it like where the old days where that index card would have the name of the person that checked it out?
It would be in the book itself, right? And they would have a copy of it probably up there, but it's just paper records. Yeah. Right? Like whereas now we'd get on their database and you could see all the information they have on it. But in our old days, they would have that little sleeve. Yeah. It's something we'll say kind of like that keeps the checkout information. But you don't have the book or the sleeve, so you would have to have access to, their paper database to see who had checked it out.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I think we've run into a bit of a brick wall. Perhaps you can use your good graces with the librarian to ask about who may have checked it out last.
Could try.
In the meantime, I don't want to get you in trouble, so I should probably...
Scamper.
Yeah. I should probably leave the restricted section and get back to my translations.
So you can write down the information that's on the index card, which is the title of the book, the author, if it's known, the date published, or the editions, all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
The rough subject matter of it, and take that up to her and ask her about it.
Yeah, I'll do that.
As I'm sneaking out, I'll take off my coat and turn it inside out, so I
Right.
look a little bit more normal.
So it's what, because you had a bright color on the inside. Was it purple or something?
No,
like
I
that?
had like
royal purple.
yeah, on the inside of the coat,
Yeah.
but then I'm wearing just like
Right. Well, we'll say you make
a
it out
vest.
without too much of a problem, and you get back to your translations. Meanwhile, Dr. Andrews goes up to talk to Caitlin, Miss Fisher again, and he has this information he's jotted down on a notepad. And she's like, "Oh, you said I wasn't there?
Right. Yeah, the spot was empty.
Probably checked out then. I can tell you when it's expected back."
Yes, that would be wonderful.
So she disappears for a little while and starts, they got those little drawers she's going through, her fingers, filing through them. And she pulls up a card and puts it back, and she comes back and she's like, "So it's actually past due. It should have been returned months ago, in fact." So
Ah, dear, somebody must have forgotten about it. That must be annoying for a librarian.
it happens.
Well, maybe I could
Some-
find the person who has it and just give them a reminder that other people need to use public resources.
Oh,
You know.
well, that would be nice of you. Well, let me go look again. I'll get the person's name, and if you can tell him, he needs to return it.
Yes, of course.
And he has accrued a $5 late
Ugh.
fee from at this time. So tell him that will need to be paid. So yeah, she gives you a name. Was Dennis Clark.
Dennis Clark. Okay.
And I assume since he checked it out, he must have been a student here, as if you're not a student, you can't leave the library with the books.
Right. Yeah. Okay.
But beyond that, I don't really have any other information.
Well, Miss Fisher, you've been a tremendous help to me. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Have a nice day, sir.
No, you have a nice day.
Battle of Wills, power versus power. All right. So yeah, you're Monroe. You're tied up with the translation for until the library closes, basically. If you want to count your day, although I think we're technically Friday and not Saturday. I think I got mixed up last time because I think the will reading was on Thursday and we're on the day after, so it should be Friday. So they are open a bit later.
Okay.
But yeah, if you keep going until dinner time, then that counts as your first day of translation work.
Yeah, I'll continue on that.
Okay. And then what would you like to do from that point, Andrews?
Yeah, so how long will that be? That you'll be working on that?
3 days.
Well, then I'll... And what time of day is it now?
You guys are like mid-afternoon. The library will probably kick you out in 2 or 3 hours.
Well, I mean, I guess next I'll probably head to some administration, someone who can point me to where I'll find Dennis Clark.
Oh, okay.
Since he's going to be busy with that, then I might as well see if I can track that guy down.
All right. So you go back to the administration building and you're looking, to talk about a student that attends there or had attended there by the name of Dennis Clark. One moment here. I think you're going to pass all these NPC disposition rolls because you have 60 appearance and a 90 credit rating. Okay, so you have a young man there with a some very thick lenses on his glasses. And, the kind that kind of give that enhancing effect where it makes their eyes look like two boiled eggs when he looks up at you. But he's just like, yes. You waited in a short line.
Okay. Hello. I am Dr. Andrews. And I'm looking for a student here, a Dennis Clark. I'm looking because he's got an overdue library book.
Are you a library policeman?
And I'm sure you understand that at this institution that is no joking matter. So
$5 already.
I need to find him at the behest of head librarian Miss Fisher, so I can ask him about returning that book. And he checked it out last, so I need you to point me towards his dormitory, if you please.
Oh, yes, certainly. So he starts looking through his files. He gets up from his chair, goes back there, and then he comes down and he has like a little file and he's like, yes, Dennis Clark. He hasn't, registered for fall semester, which is odd because it was only his sophomore year here. But here is the address. He wasn't in a dorm. He lived in the Cambridge neighborhood in some apartments. Right here. And he gives you, the street address of those apartments.
Okay.
I like how it was almost a jump scare presentation, though. Right here.
You get the sudden piano music. And, so you have that address. Dennis Clark, Cambridge address, which isn't too far. That's the same area of Massachusetts in which Harvard is.
Yeah. And you say he didn't sign up for the fall semester?
No. He looks like he was signed up last year, but he hasn't gotten all his affairs in order.
Well, if that young man thinks that no longer being a student of this institution means he can keep that library book, he's got another think coming. He's going to catch these daddles, and I'll put up my fists, and then I'll leave.
He jots down on a piece of paper, do not check books out from the Widner Library.
I pictured...
they take it very seriously.
I pictured Andrews smacking a billy club into his opposite hand.
Why don't you just junt him in the time flow a little bit?
I know, yeah.
Now you're slow. All right. Okay. So, you got that information. What do you want to do from that point?
I'll go check in with Monroe then and let him know what I'm going to be doing. Based on the address, pretty good knowledge of this area. I should know how long it should take me to go check on this, right?
Yeah. Yeah, if you walked it, you could, probably be over there within the hour.
Yeah, so, I'll go let Monroe know I'm going to go check on the kid who checked this book out last. His address is nearby.
If you wait a couple hours, Monroe will be at a point where he thinks he has the work in for today he needs to.
Okay.
Also, you are starting to get hungry.
Yeah.
Just as an aside.
All right. Yeah, so we'll wait. We'll get some food, and then we can go together and to this Dennis Clark's address and see if he's got the book.
In the meantime, if you'd like to read this book that I got from Orion's about gin, it might have some information in it that could be pertinent to our current dilemma.
Yeah, I can do that.
All right. So let's bounce back over to the New York crew. Whitmire, you ran down that alley, you disappeared around the corner, and you have a very, very terrible feeling that descends on you. You've had it before when it feels like you're about to get nabbed or something like that, but you can't shake it. And in a meta sense, just so you know, at this point, you can't use the optional luck rule for an unknown reason.
I'm sorry, can't use the optional what rule?
The luck rule where you spend luck.
Oh, okay.
So just so you know, like you won't be able to apply that. But that in game terms, that just feels like this bad feeling you have. You're gonna run around into a street full of cops or something like that.
A whole parade.
Yeah. Yeah. In fact, it makes you anxious, so you're missing things as you're kind of slowing down now. You figure an old bookkeeper's not gonna be able to keep up with you at this point, but you're just missing obvious things, almost running into people or tripping over stuff, and you got that bad feeling.
That's how I imagine most smash and grab operations go.
Right.
And is there, so I imagine this book and this chest are pretty obvious, so I probably won't be going back around to the front of the bookstore unless I know a place that I can stash it real quick.
You could give me a stealth or navigate, whichever you want to try. Because you have a few places you hold booze here. before you can make deliveries, or your crew does anyways.
All right. Do navigate. Exceeded extremely.
Mm.
Well done.
Yeah, today seems all or nothing with our rolls.
Yeah, so it definitely both objects you want to get somewhere quick because the book is over 700 pages long.
Nah.
It's quite a big tome.
On older paper, it might be
Right.
kind of thick, too, you know.
Okay, so yeah, you got a spot that you don't have any of your crew there, but you have a watcher that you pay off who just sees who goes in and out of the building where it is, but you just rented a small, flat, and sometimes you store stuff in there that you can make out easily out the back way once you have to make deliveries to the gin joints at night. And that place will be as good as any, you think.
Okay.
Not too far from where you are.
So I'll head over that way and go and stash it, and after that, then I'll try to make my way back towards the entry of that, or the front of the bookstore. See if Glover is still over there.
Yeah, so last we left off with Glover, he was kind of getting the old stink eye from Tobias Heckley, and he's like, I just gotta ask, you didn't have nothing to do with that, did you?
I didn't know. I didn't have a dang thing to do with that. Otherwise, I wouldn't be in here with you trying to get through the door a more favorable manner.
Fair point. Neighborhood's going to hell.
That said, I got some friends at the department. I'll report this. I'll make sure you're taken care of and that your books were covered, sir.
Well, that's the book you were looking for. The one just went out the window.
So this book aura, did it leave the room with it?
What's that?
This evil, malevolent aura that was accompanying the book, is it out of the room too now? Do I got to be careful?
I'd say so.
All right. Anyway, I'll make sure you're taken care of, sir.
Well, I appreciate the help.
I just wonder if this is a possible suspect in my case.
Could be. A lot of bad juju around that book.
Oh. Anyway, I'll shake his hand again, and I'll promise him again,
Yeah, and he gives you a card. It's not pristine. It's bent at the corners. Like maybe he might be the type of guy who gets cards back from people, his own cards. But yeah, he gives it to you, and he's like, if you need anything else in the future.
Why, I'm pretty sure I got a buddy of mine who will be just proper happy that you got a bookstore like this. Anyway, once again, sir, I apologize for any time I wasted for you. And I'll walk out, light my cigar, and if Whitmire's out by the corner, I'll walk past him.
At that stage, Whitmire's,
Stash
stuffing
it.
it to his place to stash it. So you're just on the street corner wondering where that boy might have got.
I think I know where that boy kind of got off to. Yeah, I'll kind of walk. He seems to be able to spot me pretty good, so I'll walk a little ways from the bookstore, maybe a block or two.
Okay.
Kind of find some place to hang out. Hope he maybe keep an eye out for him.
Yeah, so you get that sense of being an outsider,
Mhm.
right? When you're in a part of town or in a small town, any place where they don't see a lot of outsiders, and the reason they don't see a lot of outsiders in Harlem, except at night, is because they have some ethnic conclaves here for different groups, So you get that sense just standing out that you stick out like a sore thumb, right?
Yeah.
And you got people just kind of passing in groups, sort of openly glaring at you. Not hostile, right? But
Yeah,
they're
who's this?
wondering what you're
Yeah.
going to do,
Yeah, so
basically.
guess I'll stop by like either a sidewalk, like I don't know if they got them even at this point in time. They got to have something, right? Like a street food vendor or
Selling lobster rolls.
Oh, okay. I don't know about that. But we also got, I don't know, maybe a bodega sandwich shop or something.
Yeah, you got plenty of places you could duck into and make it more official by buying something.
Yeah, I'll just try to be my charming self.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Whitmire, when you finally make it back to that part of town, you don't see him out front of the establishment anymore, and I won't hold it up by trying to find him. You find him eventually in just a little corner store, eating a sandwich there, right at the window.
I'll
Right?
order one for him. It'll
Yeah.
be sitting on the.
Got you a lobster roll.
Yeah, I'll if I walk by and I see him, I'll head in there and sit down next to him.
Yeah.
And
So yeah, same thing. Yep, there you guys are.
No, I was going to say is, well, it didn't quite go as expected, but I'll look at that second sandwich, be like, is that for me?
Yeah, it's for you.
I'll thank him and start eating it.
It's pretty good. This is there's still a pretty big Jewish population, so it's like a Jewish deli. So yeah, it's a pretty good sandwich.
Sorry, they didn't have any ham for some reason.
Oh, this will do nicely. Well,
Kosher meat is good.
Mm-hmm.
as I'm sure you've probably guessed, being a detective and all, I've found the book.
Yeah, it's not hard. You don't even need to be a detective to guess that. When a gunshot rings out of nowhere. Where'd you stash it, Whitmire?
Damnedest thing is I don't know why it went off.
So where'd you stash it?
As I got a place a little ways down from here. As that's where it's at right now.
Well, I promised him that I'd find that book, so what we're going to do is we're going to head back to the train station. You're going to grab that book, and we're going to make use of it as quick as possible. I think I might be able to talk someone into getting it back to him.
Oh, I definitely don't want to keep that thing. I haven't had a good feeling ever since I ended up taking it.
No.
Yeah, usually what happens is you lift something, you get it stored proper, and the feeling starts to abate. It usually doesn't go away until you've had a few nights rest, but you're not feeling any of that lessening yet.
It's kind of funny. He was telling me a big old long tale. I'll hold up the journal.
Right.
I'll start kind of like reading through the list of names. It's like, apparently he says everyone that touched that book met with an unfortunate ending. Someone here walked into a door. Someone here lit themselves on fire. I'll just kind of run through them for him.
Yeah, so there's some odd ones, like a guy or a woman getting the Murphy bed's the bed that goes up into the wall, right?
Mm-hmm.
So she got closed up in that and died in there. So some unlikely ones, somebody bumping their head on the lintel of a door, biting their tongue and getting an infection, although infection's not unlikely, but...
That said, I wouldn't be too displeased if that was to occur to Monroe. Maybe not the dying part, but boy, he sure does like to talk, doesn't he?
Yeah, maybe, I don't know if we should even take this thing on a train. Like, hearing of all these small random accidents, I see the potential for some bad situations. Maybe,
surely you don't believe all
get
this.
It shipped over to it, and
a bunch of coincidences, Whitmire. Besides, you already touched the book, so I think who better to carry it than you?
as I'll just stare into the glass in front of us. Bunch of coincidences, huh? Have you ever seen a god in every reflection chasing you?
Can't say I have.
Well, then, if we're
Meet me
gonna
at
do
the
this,
train station.
yeah, let's get this over with quick. Then
I don't want them seeing us together. Can't believe you put me in that spot. You're a real stinker, ain't you, Whitmire?
don't worry, you made a real good front man.
Yeah, maybe next time I get to be in on the gag. Oh, by the way, thanks. I'll leave him with the bill. And I'll thank the waitress, point to him. Make sure she knows he's got it.
I think that's pretty fair, a fair turn.
And then I'll catch a cab to the train station.
Okay.
Purchase some tickets.
So Whitmire, what's the transport of this going to be? Well, first I should say, when you do go to retrieve it, if you look in the chest, what you have in there is just some heavy objects. So there's like a couple of hammers and a big wrench, right? Just to put weight in the chest. So nothing really of value there.
Well, I would say I should probably put it in the chest unless I've got something else that's... I don't know what the chest actually looks like, if it's just plain or not, but...
yeah, it's pretty nondescript.
Okay, yeah, I'll take those out and put the book inside of it, and then take it with me.
Okay.
catch a cab or get a ride from somebody. 'Cause I probably don't want to put any of my crew at risk of whatever this thing is, so a cab would be probably preferred.
Right. Yeah, and
I'm gonna
you just
leave
have
my
that
38 though in there, and I'll tell someone to go pick it up later.
right. So yeah, despite the feeling never really abating, even by the time you get on the train, you do make it there intact, and you're on the train and in your seat opposite Detective Glover, just waiting to get back to Boston.
Yeah, I'll be reading a paper and smoking my cigar. I'll kind of bend one of the corners down when he sits down, make sure
Right.
it's him.
I'll
Okay, go ahead.
I'll have to forgo the cigarette after hearing the story, because I don't want to light myself on fire.
You look pale as a sheet, Whitmire. You need to learn how to relax. Leads you to an early grave, I hear. But what do doctors know? And I'll blow out a big plume of cigar smoke and go back to chawing on it.
All right, so waiting for Monroe to finish up his translations, we get to that point, and you guys go off to get something to eat. And as you often do, you stop in and check for any messages that came in throughout the day, because you have like Lamar and whatnot sent off. But Dr. Andrews, you actually have a message from Dr. Call inviting you to dinner at the Hermetic Order of the Silver Toilet, if you're free. You hear his voice when you read the message, even though it's devoid of any character, really,
Yeah.
But yeah, he does mention something about an interesting offer has come to his attention.
Okay.
When's your guys' dinner with Mrs. Merriweather?
Well,
Not for, 4 more days?
Yeah.
Okay.
all right. And we got that message where?
You either stop in at like a post office or something like that.
Yeah.
Ask if there's any messages for, they'll hold stuff for you, or maybe your residence, wherever you had predetermined that you would have messages sent to, as you do through your daily life.
Okay. Well, we should be able to go check out this guy and then still get there in time for dinner, right?
Depends.
Yeah, depending on what happens.
Am I able to send a telegram over to Monroe's shop that just says that we were successful and we need to meet him there? And I'll give him an estimated time of when our train is supposed to arrive and whatever normal time should take us to get there from the station.
Yeah, so you would get that message when you check your messages.
Okay.
Basically, they would come back on the last train in, so it'd be around 8.
Any warning for him?
Yeah, what does it read?
It just says, have book
Got it.
meet at your shop, and then a time. The very short message.
Okay. Yeah, I'll take that with me to Dr. Andrews when we meet up. The last train means that we would still have time to go check on the person who had the other
have dinner
book
and
checked
check
out.
on
So, yeah.
whichever order you want to do it.
Yeah. We can see if this other book is perhaps another copy. Why have one when you can have 2?
Yeah. Yeah, better safe than sorry.
All right, so into the Cambridge neighborhood, which is quite swanky, lots of nice houses. And when you get to where they have the apartments, they're also nice. So whoever this kid is, comes from money, like much of the Harvard student body does in this time particularly. But you're standing before it, and by apartment, he pretty much has like a whole section of a building to himself.
Yeah, whole townhouse or whatever.
Right. But you do see something interesting when you locate the front door to it. You do see a notice fastened to the door there from the street.
All right. Let me go take a look at that note.
And it's an eviction notice.
I see. And I'll show it to Monroe and say, someone's being evicted. And let me look around. Do I see like any other signs that maybe no one's been here in a while? Is there like dust or mail piled up or,
Newspapers on the front porch.
newspapers, whatever, that sort of thing.
Right, yeah. There's like a letter slot, and you can see the newspapers for a while, although you can see like a week's worth of newspapers, right?
Okay.
Down at the foot of the door, and both of you can give me a spot hidden roll. This would be a hard spot hidden.
Come on, I want one success this game session.
Oh. You always luck it.
Yeah, it's just a little too much luck.
Just a little too much. Man, this book, if we bring it anywhere within arm's length of you guys, is just going to decimate you.
Yeah.
Failure. So we're looking through the mail slot or something?
Yeah, you kind of looked in there. You don't see any lights. You don't see any lights in the windows. You do see, if you wanted to push that spot hidden, there's like an iron fence around the yard that is in front of some of the windows. You kind of see where the curtain parts a little bit at one point, but you'd have to get over this iron fence to get a better look.
Yeah, I'll give it a shot. A climb or something?
Yeah.
I'll try knocking on the door.
Okay. Yeah, you're not getting any response, at least you're not hearing any movement when you prick your ears to listen, but...
Okay. I'll keep an eye out for like neighbors leaving their house or anything like that I might be able to question, because I'm a charismatic person that can get information that way.
Yeah, maybe I better not climb. I'm not very good at it.
You go to think about it, and you're like...
Yeah.
Yeah, it's one of those things where when you get up close to it, you realize, oh, I haven't done anything like this in a little while.
Yeah.
So, and those are points on the top of the iron fence there.
Yeah, it was like going over those rocks when we went fishing.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, man, like, young me might not break everything in my body if I slip.
Right. Well, give me a...
Monroe, do you got any experience picking locks?
I know of
What
the
do
practice.
you think I do? That's Whitmire's department.
I know. I was just checking.
No.
You can give me a luck roll, Monroe, to see if any of the neighbors come out.
All right. No. Oh, that's a hard luck roll, but still a failure.
Yeah, so nobody comes out of the neighboring apartments. There is some cars going by on the road. If you want to flag somebody who's driving through the neighborhood down.
No, but I will check the door to see if it's unlocked.
It is locked.
Okay. Maybe check the back?
Yeah, I want to check around the perimeter and see if there's another way that I can see to, get up to the house. Or
Okay, so when you
like
get
a back
around
door.
the back, the fence gets up close to the side of the apartment, and it runs up a few feet higher, and it has a privacy screen within it that keeps you from looking into the backyard. I mean, you still can when you get up close, and so you see like some patio type furniture out there on like a cobblestone, not a deck exactly, but they have part of the yard that's cobblestone with some patio furniture, and there's an umbrella type thing sitting out the top of it. But you can't really make anything else other than that there's a door if you can get beyond the fence, which does have a gate in it.
Yeah, let me check that gate and see, what kind of latch it has. Is this an iron fence?
Yeah. It's a latch that you could manipulate. You can reach through a part of it. And you could open it if you wanted without a check. It doesn't open automatically.
Right.
It just has some clasp that comes down to keep it from opening on its own.
Yeah. Yeah, so I want to take a look around and make sure that nobody's watching me. And then I'll unlatch it and
Give me a luck roll, Dr. Andrews.
no.
I mean, you are thinking, it's running through your head. Somebody could be breaking and entering at that point.
Yeah.
Oh. We're so close.
Yeah.
Wow.
So yeah, you're about to do that, and
Like 3 people poke their heads up.
no, but it's because it's a fumble and a failed luck roll. But yeah, but basically, before you can really react, Monroe, you hear the clop of footfalls, and then you turn around and you just see a police officer standing there. He's like, "Hey, what are you guys doing here? You live here?"
No, we're concerned about a fellow student.
And your hand is like,
I'm a private detective and looking for a student.
Apparently, this student's been missing for several months, or at least hasn't been responding. He's got an eviction notice on his front door. He's got several books checked out from the library that are overdue, and he hasn't registered for fall classes. So We came to make sure that he was all right. Nothing untoward has happened. We got no response from the front door, so we came around to see.
So yeah, he's giving you a hard look and waiting for you to finish. But you can go ahead. And,
I'm just going to keep going.
you can go ahead and put out a social roll here to see how he sells it, but not persuade. Time is of the essence.
Charm.
Yeah, charm.
Appearance. What are the other ones? Credit.
You better do the appearance check because,
Credit rating.
And charm.
That look on your face, man.
Charm is really the only other one I've got besides persuade.
Brandon's got what you need when it comes to dealing with government.
No, that's the credit rating helps with their impression. So obviously, that it is a favorable one. He doesn't think you're just in here like
Nice.
Awesome.
Oh, nice.
Nice.
Charmed him.
Check that charm.
Yes. Yeah.
All
So
right.
yeah.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I just saw you. The other gentleman over there looked like he was about to break and enter, and I probably missaw it. So,
Sir.
Well, sir.
you guys are hired by the family, I take it?
Well, no, but we have been asked by the college to see if we can recover some of the books. And once we started looking into it, we became concerned for the boys' well-being. And, if we found anything here, we would, of course, have reported it to the police. I mean, we are law-abiding citizens. He himself is, as he mentioned, a private detective that has been
Licensed.
Yeah, is licensed. And, we're just checking to make sure nothing untoward has happened to the young man.
And I assume since you're back here looking around, you got no answer at the door.
Yeah, I got no answer to the door. Officer, if you would oblige us with a probable cause for entering the premises, and we might be able to make sure that nothing bad has happened to the boy in his own premise. We were hoping that he might, respond to the back door since the front door has an eviction notice. And, I'm just going to keep going and going and going.
Okay. Well, why don't you think about it for a minute and see what the probable cause is? Because I sure don't, and I got to make a report on that.
Well, this young man is a Harvard student.
Has not returned a book?
Has not returned a book. He's got an eviction notice. He hasn't signed up for fall classes, but he is midway through his career as a student. So it seems, especially with a domicile like this, that it seems unlikely that he would just randomly decide to abandon all of his endeavors so far. And
do you know what probable cause is, sir?
Can't say that I do.
I'm afraid I don't know exactly what it is, but yes, we are concerned for the boy's well-being. Make sure that nothing has happened to him.
I can't see into that house. Just you two on the street.
Yes.
I can't get you in there.
Well, could you at least walk us up to the back door and knock and see if anyone has entered? If you're worried about us breaking and entering into the house itself, then by all means, please accompany us. We're just trying to find what happened to this young man.
Break and enter with us.
If you didn't get an answer at the front door, why are you going to get an answer at the back door?
Well, if the boy is in some sort of trouble and doesn't want...
Fine. We'll knock, we leave, and then you guys are out of here,
Yes,
okay?
sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Of course.
And if you talk again, I'll shoot you.
All right, so he's like, carry on, and he's motioning to you, Dr. Andrews.
Yes,
I'm not going to
of
open that
course.
gate for you.
No, let's knock on the front door. We want to knock on the back door?
It's not illegal to enter onto the premises through the back gate.
Yeah.
Make it quick.
All right, I'll open the gate.
He slaps some cups on your wrist.
How did you do that so fast?
Begins beating you with a sap.
But yeah, he stays out there on the street corner. Is it just you going up, or are you both?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Well, I'll walk
you
up
go
along with
with
him.
me,
And,
Okay. So it'll afford you another spot hidden roll just at the regular level at this point.
Okay.
Mm.
All right.
Nice.
Put your marks down.
All right. Dr. Andrews, you're very familiar with the smell, the odor that you catch as you get close to this back door. There's a corpse inside that house.
Officer?
That additionally comes with a sanity roll for you because it smells like tainted meat, like fat worms below a pyramid.
Officer,
Oh.
I have your probable cause.
You only lose a point.
For some reason, I'm picturing that like John Doe from Seven. Officer.
But with the point comes an involuntary action. Do you want to think of one, or shall I consult the random table?
Oh, he farts loudly.
Fits right
It's
in.
a Stephen King one, right?
Yeah.
Been holding that in.
I could just vomit.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah,
a
like we
projectile.
get up there and then I smell that and just my stomach turns
Yeah.
and I just turn and vomit on
Yeah, that
into
was
the
your
flour.
classic response beneath the pyramid is
Yeah.
intermittent vomiting keeps you thin. But yeah, so there's some bushes that are set on the side of this cobblestone. Walk up to the door and you just vomit into those.
Yeah, so as he's saying that to the police officer, he's probably looking through, and all of a sudden, like, I just turn and run and
Yeah.
start throwing up.
So yeah, it was just 1 point lost, and then you spend the next little bit sort of emptying your stomach there, and you call for this.
Yeah, I'll pull out my handkerchief and hand it to Monroe, and
Yeah.
I'll say, "Officer, I have your probable cause.
What is it? What do you got?
There's a dead body on the other side of this door."
What are you talking about? So he walks up there, and he recognizes it as well.
I knew you would.
Yeah. And he's like, all right, you two hang right here. I'm going to go radio this in, wire it in. Sorry, not radio yet, but at least not for them, not in their cars. Yeah, I'm going to go wire it in. You guys keep an eye on the house for me.
Yes. I'll make sure nobody comes or goes.
Okay. So yeah, he goes running off down the street. What do you two do in his absence?
I'm going to continue vomiting.
I want to check the door.
It's unlocked.
Yeah, I'm going to go in. We need to find that book and before they come back, because they're not going to let us tromp around in here when they get back.
All right.
Keep an eye out and
yeah.
shout if you
You do
hear.
know that we have a book inbound too, though. So
Yeah.
Yeah,
But yeah,
there might be some other things about this connected to our investigation. Otherwise, Keeper wouldn't bring it up. So
I'll beg off just a tiny bit, and I'll say, yeah, I'll stand by the door and gather my my composure.
Okay, so you just start getting a base level of dread as you go through because it gets stronger and stronger. Like once you open the door, it's like at a different level.
yeah,
And then you kind of start sourcing it to a room deeper within, and the door is closed. You're pretty sure it's there because if you go past it, you think you're getting a break from it a little. Although it's hard to tell because once it's in your nose, you
yeah,
can't really get it out.
yeah.
But you think it's in this room, and you're kind of right at the door. The door is kind of like an accordion sort of sliding one.
Okay,
Like you would pull it and it'll just
yeah.
close up. So, but yeah, it has a little brass area for you to put your fingers to work it. What do you do?
Yeah, we'll open it ever so slightly,
peek in.
peek in.
I was gonna ask what the thing on fingerprinting was in this period,
They
but
can do it.
he
yeah.
wears gloves, so
Yeah, at least on his time hand.
Yeah,
All right, so you slide that door so that it's open, and if possible, the smell is even stronger. You can give me a Constitution roll to keep yourself from puking.
nice.
extreme success.
So yes, you're familiar with it.
I am a doctor.
Not some peasant. But yeah, so you see a shape sitting in a chair at like a study desk. He's slumped over the desk, but you can tell immediately that he's been dead for a while. He's kind of past, he's like in the putrefaction stage. He's even a little fuzzy, right? But he's like slumped one arm with the head in the crook of his arm. And on the floor is a pretty interesting symbol carved there. It's more like a pentagram, you would call it. But that's what you see from the doorway. But I'll share what that would look like.
That looks kind of familiar.
That's the devil.
Ah.
Okay. So I want to edge my way into the room and stare at that symbol long enough to commit it to memory. I'll do a deliberate blink as if taking a picture.
Committed to memory.
Yeah, and look around the rest of the room and see what else I see. Like if I can tell just from here, like how did he die, and
You can't tell from here how he died. The rest of the room looks like the study for a college kid. So there's a lot of, books related to whatever he was studying in here. As well as like some wooden toy models that he works on in his spare time. But yeah, from the door, you can't tell. And you see that symbol on the floor, and it looks like there's a book on the desk open.
Yeah.
Like he's sort of curled around it.
All right. So yeah, I'll go over to the desk then and see if I can tell what that book is. if it's the one we're looking for.
It could be. It's open to a page that has some scrawling, spidery script on it. You can pick out Latin. The problem with the page is there's a lot of blood on it, soaked in that open spot of the book. So you can't make out a title, or at least from there, not without moving something.
And what did the blood come from? Like, now that I'm closer, can I see what killed this?
His face is kind of concealed from you, but when you kind of get a better angle, you can see there's just like nothing there, like something took it out and has scooped it out. Yeah.
Gross.
Can he tell, like, is the bone cleanly
Right, yeah.
So
it's like his face were ice cream and they put a warm ice cream scoop into it. It's rotted a lot, but yeah, you couldn't even begin to think of what could do that. Because other than that, he appears to be unharmed. Now, you kind of notice immediately with the way all this blood is on his desk, that if you remove that book, there's going to be a semi-clean spot where that book was, just so you can think for what you might say in the future.
All right. Is there another book in here that is of generally the same size?
Give me a hard dex roll. We'll see if you can find one. And, you're starting to get frantic about the timing of things. So you start looking on those shelves and we'll see if you move quick enough. Mm. You do find one you're not sure if it's going to do, but it's the best you got given the time that you have.
Yeah.
So you're either going to make the move or not.
I'm going to swap them out.
It's like Indiana Jones style.
Yeah.
Except you got to be careful because most of the golden idol didn't come away with the book if you're not careful.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So, you pick that other book up, lay the other one as best you can, and it's real sloppy. You can see that immediately.
Yeah.
It might even be worse than having no book there because it also suddenly, it's not have blood on it or anything, because how are you going to replicate old blood in this amount of time? And the other book closes in your hand, and it has a big thick part in the center where the pages are all drenched with blood, right? So it doesn't close cleanly anymore. But you can see this is the one.
This is the one we're looking for. Okay. All right. So
get back out on the street.
Yeah. Is it like can this book be concealed like in my coat?
The type of coat you wear, yeah.
Right.
I mean, it's thick, and if you got to do anything sudden, it's going to be hard to keep it like where you conceal it best. Maybe underneath your armpit or something, right?
Yeah.
Beneath your coat.
You got suspenders?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'll conceal it and then close the door, the little sliding door,
Okay.
and head back out.
All right. So you're back out on the street with Monroe. Sorry, my brain went blank there. And he's, seems to have gotten a hold of himself and just in the nick of time because, this police officer comes hoofing back with another cop that was nearby. And they just ask you if anything had happened while they were gone.
No, sir, but that sure is a bad smell.
Yeah, I left a little pile of lunch there. I'm afraid I'm not used to dealing with these kinds of situations. I thought at most we had a delinquent on our hands.
Okay, we're gonna take a quick look inside. You guys just hang here for a little bit. I need to get who this person was from you before I let you go.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, officer, I happen to be a doctor, if you want my expert opinion.
I just had this vision of you. You're like, oh, this is all unfamiliar.
Oh, my God.
I've never even been in a place like that.
He's like, no, that won't be necessary. You just hang out here with your friend, and we'll get some statements from you here in a minute. So that they go inside, and you hear some exclamations, and one of the other cop who was a bit younger than him comes out and
adds to the pile.
Adds to Monroe's pile.
I say, yeah, you see, it's horrifying, isn't it? That smell.
Yeah, but so they look, through everything, and he comes back out, and they get the process in order to get the coroner or whoever they need to come down and the detectives, and then they ask you guys a few questions, And just both of you give me a power roll. Given what you had done, yours will be... they'll both be normal. Both normal power. Nice.
Success.
Monroe never loses. He always keeps it together except for throwing up.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'm fool people just by talking so much that they can't, piece anything together that I say.
Yeah, normally, having some knowledge that you're keeping hidden, it's hard to keep your cool, but both of you do, and they let you go. And if they had any suspicions about you going into the house, you're not aware of it, Dr. Andrews. So you're free to go. If they have any questions, they get your information, where you guys live, that sort of thing.
Okay.
So where do you go from there?
Yeah, back to town, right? You said you had a message from Whitmire?
Yeah, they'll be meeting at my shop, or at my museum.
Okay.
I forgot to give the police officers a flyer.
You're slipping.
Should have left it in the room.
Yeah.
Excuse me, officers. I know that you are busy currently investigating this horrible, horrible, heinous crime scene, but here you go.
I'm just going to leave this right here.
That's what should have been in the hole that was in that guy's face. It was one of Monroe's flies.
He probably has one in his pocket, right. So it's going to link back to Monroe somehow.
Okay, so we'll go to the final scene, which is with Detective Glover. So you had been most acutely aware of the outsider fill-in when you were in that part of Harlem you were.
Mm-hmm.
And you didn't recognize any particular face when you were there because it's the first time you'd seen them all. But as you've been on this train ride and you're a good, halfway into it, you can't help but think that the black fella sitting back there in the corner looks oddly familiar to you. In fact, yeah, you saw him. He was one of those guys that plainly looked at you. Maybe not with hostility, but what are you doing here? And this coincidence thing has maybe not been messing with you in the terms of the book, but this is the kind of coincidence you don't like, What's this, what's he doing here? So yeah, he's just looked, but his eyes dart away when you look at him, and then we'll stay there. Pick it up next time. Thanks for playing, guys. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Good thing you didn't go and look at the body. Darn,
Yeah.
Andrews has the sanity immunity to bodies.
Mm-hmm.
Grievous wounds.
Yeah, well, we all have our...
This has been a Deathwatch production. Thank you for listening.